GangRadio.com. Take over. Last mission. Final boss mode.
Too long for Crawford.
Yeah, we just thought we don't want to have to put him on a whose career was disappointing poll. A future one.
That's speaking. That'll be a nice segue into our.
He's working on it. Trust me.
Yes, and that'll be a nice segue into our final poll topic and our final topic of the evening. Who has the most disappointing career? So, P, let us know the choices and what people have been saying.
Okay, so the choices today for most disappointing careers so far. All active, unfortunately. They don't act like they're active, but they're active fighters. So we have, the choices are Leo Santa Cruz, Demetrius Andrade, Billy Joe Saunders, and Gary Russell Jr.
Turbo Fist.
So far we've had 34 votes.
Damn.
And the leader right now by a wide margin is one Demetrius Andrade with 68% of the votes.
Not even shocked.
Yep. Gary Russell Jr. got 24% of the votes. Billy Joe Saunders got 9%. I don't know why, but he should have got more of a percentage. And Leo Santa Cruz got 0, which I can understand.
Yeah. I mean, Leo Santa Cruz. I mean, look, he got the. He got the fade pack, pretty much. It's just like...
It's like niggas felt sorry for Leo Santa Cruz, but it's like he just had a big fight, so it's like it's not too disappointing. He fought good with Tank, so you can't really...
Yeah, I agree with the results. It has to be Andre. I mean, you can make a case for it. You can make a case for Billy Joe, but Andre just...
You can make a damn good case for Billy Joe. I actually thought he'd have more votes than Gary Russell.
But the thing with Andrade is Andrade came in with a lot of hype and a lot of skill, and you just expected more from him. But he can't get out of it. He can't get out of his own way career-wise. And I hate to say this because I'm a fan of the guy, and I took a picture with him when I met him. But I'm really hoping that Andrade isn't really. I mean, he kind of is part of. He's an understudy in the Winky Wright School of Boxing.
Understudy. I heard he teaching courses out there. Nigga. What you talking about?
With me, Andre
got his own wing out there.
I mean, with me for Andre, I've watched. I mean, when he came up, I've watched a lot of his early fights. I used to when he was on the undercard, and then obviously I had tickets when he was gonna finally get his career-defining fight against Billy Joe Saunders, and unfortunately Billy Joe decided he had a cold or something, so he needed to use his nasal spray, and. He had to lose a little weight. He lost a little weight because of it, and he was like, "Oh no, it's banned. You can't use that." Because I never heard of anyone losing weight via nasal spray. I mean, what the hell's going on with PEDs today? But anyway, But anyways, of course, that fight got ruined, and he had to fight the next available contender who did not have a Billy Joe Saunders reputation at all. And he never regained any momentum from that. Nothing. No,
he was active though, and the thing is, Saunders never really regained his momentum fully. But the thing is, he took a few more dangerous fights than Andre, so we kind of
Lemieux fight, pretty much, like the Lemieux fight.
Yeah, no, the Lemieux, the Eubanks, and the fucking Andy Lee fight.
Yeah, you're really placing Lemieux on a higher pedestal than he should be. Dangerous fight. Come on, get the hell out of here.
He was. Ask Curtis Stevens how dangerous he was. Ask in Dom.
Yeah, but for a guy with the skills of Billy Joe Saunders, that
Lemieux. I mean, we're not gonna.
Wasn't a dangerous fight.
That's the thing. It's like,
but
he's still dangerous because he has fucking power.
Yeah, like
hold on. Remember, look, we can't shit on Lemieux, a guy like Lemieux, and say he's a nobody or he's nothing because he's only has a puncher's chance when we begging for Crawford to fight a guy with a fucking puncher's chance. It's different when you are boxing a guy who you're gonna stop or he can't fucking hurt you. it's a whole level of intensity. Is way different when you outboxing a guy and you know one mistake and he can knock you the fuck out or hurt you and change the fight. Like
True.
we know Saunders how he could react at that level. But we still waiting for that with Crawford. So that's what I'm saying with Saunders. At least he kind of dealt with before the fallout with Andre. He kind of dealt with some more better competition. So.
Yeah, but we also dealt with more pump faking with him, and that's honestly the most disappointing part. The pump faking.
That's why he's on the list too. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he deserved like the second most votes. Like Andre, I voted for Andre. He's my number one. But I feel like Saunders is more disappointing than Gary Russell. Because at least with Gary Russell, he took a Lomachenko fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's just, I mean, Gary's just probably he likes to fight his one fight a year, and
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
In some cases, some of those wins, kind of aged a little.
And see, I put Johnny Gonzalez over fucking Lemieux if we're talking about dangerous.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I do agree. Although Johnny Gonzalez is kind of really super hot and cold. He's like the Mexican version of Zab Judah.
Oh, you don't have to tell me that. That motherfucker is like, I can't bet on him because he's like one of my favorites. Never bet in this fight because
he's more accomplished than Lemieux. Yeah. And the thing is, he has boxing skills and he has power. He has the one thing we shit on Lemieux about. Mm-hmm. But he also has Lemieux's trump card. So he's been a champion before, and he's fought better competition. I have to put him over Lemieux.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's sad that
I remember he bodied Abner Mares not too long ago from the.
Oh yeah, before he lost.
Before the Turbo fight, so
he was the first one to body Abner.
And the only one.
Yeah, like honestly, that win was huge. Like he kind of redeemed his career a bit with that win.
Although I feel like people still didn't give him the respect after that win, because like people were still putting Mares ahead of Gonzalez even after he knocked him out.
No, my thing was that people were going gaga over LSC beating Mares, and I was like, why? Yeah, that was like, because everyone, I think this was like in the peak of PBC shit. It was like, oh, well, LC
because Gonzalez already took the flare off of the Mares wins, because Mares, he came back, but he never kind of.
I mean, I didn't even finish a beer before that. I think
the thing that helped Mares a little bit, unfortunately, is that a lot of people looked at the knockout as like kind of flukish, which is why they still ranked Mares above Gonzalez, but. He still, like I said, he deserves his credit for that win.
Yeah, because remember, Mares. See, the thing is, they took too long to evaluate Mares and put him on pound for pound list. Mm-hmm. He should have been on pound for pound list. They didn't do it until he knocked out what's his name?
Fuck. Is it at 126?
He's the guy that Broner Ponce de Leon.
Oh yeah.
That's when they started saying, okay, you know what, Abner Mares, he's pretty good. When he deserved to be on that fight, he deserved to be on the pound for pound list way before then.
Yeah, and then
agreed.
Yeah,
so it's like, so of course I'm gonna go, I'm gonna rate, and I'll be getting on Turbo Fist, but I think we kind of saw where his talent limitations is, and remember the end of Jojo Diaz win. Jojo Diaz is damn. Like he's his danger. I will put him above Eubank.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, Eubank is
should.
Yeah.
No, just at the time, what Eubank and Saunders fought when they was both like prospects, like undefeated. Like that was a big fight. So at that level, prime Eubank's undefeated. It was a good win at that time.
A prime Eubanks. I kind of gotta laugh.
I'm saying this like before everybody and their mom started outboxing this nigga. Like,
yeah, no, I got you. I was just saying
he get that first win over you. Like, you kind of like how Zab's win over Matisse. Like, means a lot over a lot of people's shit. Like,
because it.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's what
he cracked the code first. Like, he may not got the best win over him, but he did crack the code first, type of shit.
right. So yeah, it's a whole. These three of these fights at least, because LSC is like I said, he's no one's voting for him and probably won't vote for him because
And I can understand that. I can understand him being zero, on the list. But
even
Andre, definitely Andre's disappointing. Like, if you've seen this dude box, like if you ever seen his fight with Willie Nelson. If you want to see one of the most one-sided ass-kickingest fights in recent times, you watch that fight, and when you look at that, you're like, Andre special. Like, right there, you say, look, man, I put him in there with Laura, Canelo, Charlos, whoever. He'll hold his own, if not beat him. Whenever I look at potential fights, mythical matches, I'm looking at that level Andre. That's his boom.
That's his high point, pretty much.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like it come and goes. Now that high point don't last a whole fight; it lasts like maybe 4 or 5 rounds, and the caliber opponent hasn't really changed. So, and he's been in 2 different divisions with the same caliber opponents, and he never, gets a fight like at that level. So. Pretty disappointing, especially for he got the roster. He beat who's who in the amateurs, and he just has a bad style against anybody. Like he skilled, quick hands, got power, good footwork, lateral movement, reflexes. Like,
I mean, his only flaw is that basically he throws punches too unorthodox. Sometimes he gets clipped. And he has these weird knockdowns against fighters people that shouldn't be knocking him down.
Yeah.
So, but
other than that, it's like you still gotta take the fights because anything could happen. I ain't think Blake Capolero would drop Kovalev, but he did.
Yeah.
Shit happens. This is box.
Yeah. You get hit. Sometimes you go down, unless you're on the call.
Yeah, exactly. But I think we all agreed on Andre having the most disappointing career. Hopefully he could turn it around, but doesn't look like it. But
time is ticking too for him.
Time ticking like a motherfucker. See, and this is the thing, like he's not gonna have no Hall of Fame career. He's not gonna have like what Crawford has. Andre doesn't have no pressure because I think people already know he's a disappointment.
Yeah, surprisingly though, because I mean, I've been around, dude. I've been around people like around here. He's still held in high esteem. Like if you ever go to Providence or anything like that, like you ever go areas like Andre.
Well, I would hope in his area, he's looked at like that.
Like he's still held, but I mean, everyone knows that his career is not where it needs to be, but people still think highly of him.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this nigga a bum to his face or nothing. I mean, we just saying like in the whole grand scheme of things, like he's still a good fighter, hell yeah, but he just won't have that memorable career, like, or even though for his skill level, he won't be memorable like that, like.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
As opposed to guys who never won a title, but we mentioned them Tua and Rocky Ruiz all the time, and Emmanuel Augustus and Mickey Ward, guys like that.
Nowhere near his skill. Never been world champion.
Yeah, never been world champion. Nowhere near his skill, but look how memorable their careers forever. Whereas Andre, for as good as he looks, he's only talked about when it comes to saying disappointments.
True, either or hypothetical fights.
Yeah, and I mean, who wants the box to be remembered like that? So,
yeah, and he's like 32, so that's the worst thing too. Just to have,
yeah, so like you can't even really make a serious highlight reel of yourself. Even guys like Crawford has that. Like he's had a career. Like it's just. Now the whole the pressure thing. So like he's like the end of result. Like if Andre would have found his niche and not get a significant fight, but the thing is, Andre's not even active like that. He didn't start getting active until like the last 2 years.
Yeah, and then that was the other thing too. Like, I think signing with Eddie Hearn kind of made him active. So that's like, if you want to take a positive away, that's what it is. Because before that, dude was bouncing around HBO and PBC and shit, and it got to the point where he burned bridges with all of them. Which is a rarity. Like, legitimately,
rapper, prostitute, he jumped, dig. I'm sorry. I'm getting ready for the Jeezy Gucci battle.
Oh man, yeah, like dude, like this thing, dude, and pretty much Eddie Hearn looks at his, but Eddie has to now. I mean, Eddie has a 168 contingent. That's the problem. Like, he has to now really, like, going to 2022. Like, he has to really work with them, because Andre should not be fighting no fucking Dusty Harrison, someone who was a fourth-rate welterweight.
Good Lord.
As a co-main, not even as a co-main. So it's like, that's a look, and not even defending his fucking title at that, because it's like, what are you fucking doing? Like, I mean, you didn't have a hard fight enough to even warrant a non-title defense. Like,
that's pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, no, Gary hasn't pulled this, and LC. I mean, LC has, but like I said, he took an L, so it's whatever. So.
But see, he challenged himself for once. He challenged himself against one of the emerging stars of the sport. Super talented. Where nobody has a tank on their record up here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Turbo. I mean, Gary Russell Jr. is the closest with Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also about taking the chance on your skills.
Right.
And so far, like, 2 people on that list took bigger chances with their skills, whereas Saunders and Andre, more often than not, kind of fell out of good fights, and they found their way out of fights. And Saunders, we give him credit for Lemieux, Lee, and Eubank, but that's it. Like.
Mm-hmm.
He had so many dud performances, so many struggle fights, so many opponents where we're like, okay, come on. So many times where, well, nah, Golovkin will beat me and Eubank in the same night. Like, so many missed opportunities. So, you got to be harder on those people with their talent, We should have been seen Saunders, Golovkin.
I mean,
Charlo
Andre. I mean, well, Charles Andre was a fight, and then that kind of.
Yeah, all of these fights, bro. But more, we haven't gotten them. That's what's disappointing about it. Mm-hmm. Like, look how long it took for us to get Andre and Sully in check.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating too. I mean, like I said, you hope that Andre and his career would, but I mean, you have a sneaky feeling that Andre could possibly lose on some surprise shit, then before he actually gets his career together.
Spoil on the vine, like we've seen it happen before, man.
And it's definitely it'll definitely happen again. Like I said, Andre is not getting any younger. I mean, right now he's in his actual physical prime, and he hasn't. I mean, he hasn't. Really,
I don't know if he's at his peak. I think he's not gonna get he's only gonna decline from here.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that I believe. Like, it depends. Like, and sometimes all it takes is maybe one bad fight, which does take some damage.
That's why it's so crucial now, because these guys, I wouldn't even say they're in their primes. They're in their peak. Like Crawford, he's in his prime, but I think he's peak. Like, he's gonna only decline from here. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was crucial after the Postal time, just like it was crucial for Andre back, during after the Willie Nelson win.
Word.
Sometimes your career could just take a hit, in one direction and go that direction for so long, it's hard to go back the other way. And you see it now. Like, one day you're on the top of the world, doing your thing on HBO Boxing After Dark. Next day you on a ring gang pole, nigga.
And next after that, if he's not careful, he could be on Impact Network with Austin Trout.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But then, no one's gonna say Trout had a disappointing career. He's had a solid career. He's fought the best. We know how good Trout is. Andre will be could have been. I wonder if he could have ever beat this guy.
Right.
Andre versus Calzaghe.
I mean, honestly, Andre. I mean, I'm waiting for him to like if he gets maybe he should go up and try to get a Bivol fight or some shit like that. Maybe he needs to go up to 175 or some shit like that. If he's not, because
I don't know what he needs to do. He just needs to fucking fight somebody.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, it's not just honestly, he needs to look higher because we don't know what the fuck he's trying to.
These dudes need to just get somebody, a marketing team, let y'all go choose one fighter y'all want to call out and just focus on him.
Yeah, but I mean, Saunders is a different because Saunders, I think, I've always said I said Saunders. Like one thing, I hate Saunders. I hate his personality. But one thing I've always said that he could fight. And I always tell myself too, like we're at a time when Triple H and Andy Lee were about to fight, but Andy Lee had to fight his mentor, which was Saunders. I was worried because I knew, it's like Saunders could upset the apple cart. And lo and behold, that's what he does. And then the WBO middleweight title is literally kept, it's on some once a year shit, where you either get a horrible fight or you get a fight where
the thing is with Saunders' problem is his discipline. Like he can't stay in shape like that, so he could never take fights. He's a guy who you got to tell him 6 months in advance for a fucking fight.
Yeah, even then, even that the fight with Andre going through was still pitched because I think dude was about to get $4 or $5 million for that fight. Like
that's a perfect example. If Saunders would have been in shape, or not so out of shape, we probably would have got that fight, and we probably wouldn't even have this list, let alone them on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one night, one decision, fucks everything up.
Yeah.
Fucking Minority Report, Ring Gang Edition.
Oh, man, this whole topic is depressing, because you see the talent in all these fighters, but for one thing or the other, they just never meet LC definitely did, even though he didn't have no voice, definitely didn't meet his peak potential. That's just another conversation. He just now the money and the opportunity was right, and unfortunately he got bodied for it.
Well, but we know who he is.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like if Andre and Saunders retired now, I don't think we would know how good they truly are or could have been. I feel a little bit about that with Gary Russell, but not as much.
Yeah, honestly, Gary at this point, for him to secure his legacy, either because he still has opponents at featherweight. He can, if he goes and beats, let's say, a Warrington or a Zucan, something like that. That only works wonders for his legacy. At least something.
Yeah.
But it's just he's at a point where he does whatever he says, whatever, and does.
Yeah, but boxing's a hobby. It's not a career.
Yeah, and I love Gary though. Gary's skills. I love Gary, so I love watching him fight though. But even I'm not stupid enough to stand up to ignore that particular flaw he has. So it's too apparent,
But at the end of the day, they all got flaws, and that's why they all rounded up the list like that. So.
Exactly.
The turnout wasn't like the first one, part one. Oh my goodness. but we'll give it time.
Yeah, it was only done today, so we'll see if it actually catches steam or whatever.
But hold on, the circumstances are different. We was coming off like a big fight weekend too.
Yeah, You're right. True that.
Yeah, and for this, and this got some little buzz too. Like, you know, it got some decent votes, but it's just a regular week. Nothing happening. Nothing happening. Saturday. No major fights coming up this week. And boxing was trash last weekend, and was trash before. So
yeah,
November. We're gonna just forget November in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, and also just
I guess boxing decided to pull a no nut November this year. I suppose.
That's like we good. Like,
yeah,
it's all good, man. You know, I'm gonna just celebrate. You know, go artist week. You know, watching some old fights.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you know, we do. I mean, just to mention it, we're not gonna go into too much detail. I mean, there are a couple of fight cards this weekend. You know, Thursday's Ring City. You know, debuting on NBC Sports Network. You know, live where they're holding fights at Wildcard, where I once actually went to train. You know, so it's gonna be interesting where at Wildcard they're actually going to hold all that shit. You know, so, but at least the first card. I mean, I would check out the first card as like, you know, the two fights that they have on there.
What time is it?
I believe it's 9:00. I mean, so probably the versus battle should be done by then. You know. I would imagine.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I don't even know what time that shit starts.
8:00, I believe.
8:00.
Oh, 8:00.
And then you got the FS1 PBC card
on Saturday. You know, Javier Fortuna and then Antonio Lozada. You know, the conqueror of someone that P used to stand a lot. You know, but he remains, you know, nameless.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Who?
Bravado.
No, I didn't even hear you.
No, Verdejo. I'm sorry, Felix Verdejo.
Yes, Fortuna's facing Antonio Lozada, who's
I was putting Felix Verdejo and Bajado together.
Yeah.
who might make the part 3 if we ever do a part 3.
Oh yeah, you know. Actually,
I damn sure was disappointed in them. Francisco Panchito Bajado.
Actually, both fighters actually at some point may actually make that. We'll have to see what Verdejo actually does. I mean, actually,
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, you know, Fortuna Lozada may actually be a decent fight because Lozada is a puncher, you know, and Fortuna, you know, he'd be on some, you know, some stuff. But I mean, if you want to tune into that, you may see a fade. But you know, yeah, it's a pretty, you know, ho hum weekend. But like I said, check out the Ring City one because we do need more Ring City type TV shows. I mean, because we know we don't have the Friday night fights anymore and shit like that. So, you know, and this one seems to be politically neutral. So it's not like a whole. So it's not going to have.
We'll see how long that lasts.
But yes, we'll see how long that actually lasts on there. So yeah, I mean that's our show for tonight, man. So you know, our final thoughts. P, do you have any final thoughts, bruh?
I mean, you already know what it is, man. Ring Gang Radio all day, every day, twice on Sundays. You already know where to follow us at. Instagram, Twitter, ringgangradio.com, Facebook, YouTube. You already know what it is.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And LB, man, do you have any final thoughts?
Man, you already know what it is, man. It's gang, ringgangradio.com. Y'all just stay tuned in. Y'all subscribe to all the platforms, the Twitter, all that shit, IG, you know what them niggas said. Follow me at Soul Wars, you know, Shuttleworth, IG, YouTube, all that shit. I'm just keep working on the fly shit that we just gonna put out there. Got that new Uppercut season artwork, you know. Shout out to Jamal Charlo and Dervianchenko fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, like I said, you know, cartoon and, you know, working on that video game, all that shit. And, you know, I started coloring the Danny Garcia and Spence artwork. So I had that ready for y'all before the fight, you know.
Yeah, that video game clip, because I got a whole bunch of, what is that? You know, I thought, you know, I was like, no, that's the video game. I mean, that's gonna be for the, you know, for the phones or whatever. I was like, really? You know, it's like, yeah, you know, that's on, but that's long. It's you know, some time away though. But you know,
yeah,
it's open up that you know, I wanted to share to see, you know. So yeah, I told them, you know, subscribe and follow us too. You know, to get more updates as they come. So
exactly. Y'all know what time it is. It's hawk time.
Word.
Hawk niggas down. Like, but yeah, that's basically what it is. We're gonna keep y'all, we got some more spin-offs, more ill shit dropping soon. Y'all just, fuck with us, Ring Gangs, forever. Forever. Go Artist Week, shout out to, your boy, but ain't nothing special going down, just, we celebrate the multi-talented niggas this week.
Hey. That's what it is, you know what I'm saying?
Go Artist Week, it's a celebration. Other than that, just stay tuned in, man. Shout out to everybody around the world. Podomatic, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. Alone is out. Y'all know what it do.
Yes, sir. And then, I don't have anything more to add other than, I'll say the article's coming soon. It's almost finished, for our next Forgotten Fade, and working on something for Tyson and Roy Jones, which is surprisingly next week, and you're like, but of course we'll have more conversation about that, on next podcast or whatever, and then other things are in the works, so definitely stay tuned. So for myself, Pat Scorpion, the representative, for LB, so with the God, the GOAT artist, for King P, Bodega P, this has been another wonderful episode of Real Talk, where as always, if shit's real, we talk about it. So, till next time, peace.